young abbot. So he'll be sharing my talk tomorrow night. We'll be lecturing from BBM, but we're on CTTB Live. Has everybody discovered CTTB Live, the YouTube channel? If tonight you're listening from China, that won't work for you. But we're also out on Zoom. So tomorrow night, 7:30, if you can have the time to tune in. It's just the time slot is the same as ours tonight, right now. I will be lecturing in 2 languages. I will be helping Master Guangchen translate. But to have him speak Dharma in America is pretty much never happened before. So conditions seem to be right to allow him to speak to all of us. So, alrighty. We're going to have who is our Dharma requester? Sitting right there, ready to go. Here we are. Okay. Everybody remember how to join in the Dharma request? You wait for him to circle 3 times, and then he'll come down and bow 3 times, and then we can follow on the screen, and Luke will lead us in the Qingfa.
恭敬大德僧听，为此法会集一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死离苦得乐，速证无生。Well, the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and to end bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye alahadi samya sambuddhoshe.
Namo saranto suchedoye alahadi samyao sambuddhoshe.
Okay, all together. Wu shang shen shen wei miao fa, bai qian wan jue nan sao yu. 我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even through billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Alrighty. Appreciate the Dharma request and also appreciate the powerful assistance of friends in Australia who are translating into Chinese for me and for all of the listeners and watchers in China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, and beyond, and also the hardworking volunteers who are translating into Vietnamese as well, and the folks who are working ceaselessly, tirelessly to get us up to speed with multiple connections, streaming, Zooming, and live, and projecting here. So we always laugh in Australia because we started out with our webcast to the world of this lecture, the Saturday night lecture, which there is Sunday noon, was so flaky and so prone to breakdowns that we had the internet that was carried by a single cable from tree to tree. And if a kookaburra chased his mate onto the wire, we were at risk of losing the lecture. And frequently, big storms would blow down branches and bring the whole internet down suddenly. And so then we added an improvement to the internet and for the broadband, and then the broadband switched on us to national broadband, so blah, blah, blah. We added one piece of technology at a time and kludged together splices and adapters and cameras, and we had a soft box to improve the light. So pretty soon we got to what we considered bulletproof and suitable internet arrangement for the world from Australia. And now it's been 6 months since we tested this one, and now we're back, and I think the process will be the same. Bit by bit, we'll add a monitor here and a connection there. So it's, I think Master Hua would definitely approve of doing whatever it takes to get the Dharma out to folks. Now, the purpose of all of that, why do we go to all the bother, is so that when this hits the screen, now we're not done with our invocation, I agree, but what we want is when this hits the screen, not that one, but this one, people go, oh, wow, I had no idea that the Avatamsaka Sutra could talk like that. I looked at some of the comments from last week on YouTube, and folks said exactly that. They said, oh my goodness, why isn't this a Hollywood movie? Somebody ought to put this on the silver screen because it's too good. The story is just compelling. Someone else said, oh, now that somebody finally told me what's in it, I'm going to go back and read it. Success. That is success. When you can inspire someone from a lecture to go back and open it up on their own we're earning our vegetables at lunch. Okay, back to our invocation. And by the way, what you're looking at there on the screen, that's the Buddha Hall at Gold Coast Dharma Realm. In a stormy sunset, where somebody, notice this gentleman over here, is talking to the Buddha. And it's a spectacular place to discover your deeper Buddha nature in a natural setting. What we have to do is invoke spiritual presence. And we are ready to make that request. Namo Da Phang Guang Ho Yen Hai Ho Pu Sa. Namo Da Phang Guang Yen Hai Ho Pu Sa. Namo Da Phang Guang Ho Yen Hai Ho Pu Sa. Namo Da Phang Guang Yen Hai Ho Pu Sa. Namo Da Phang Guang Ho Yen Hai Ho Pu Sa. Namo Da Phang Guang Ho Yen Hai Ho Pu Sa. Last time. Namo Da Furthermore, not the Pomos, not the Kumbh, but the Chochenyo Ohlone people practice spiritual connections to the earth and to all creation. No need to put your palms together, it's not the Buddha's words, but if you want to be super respectful, do it. The Chochenyo Ohlone people practice spiritual connections to the earth and to all creation here on their ancestral land for tens of thousands of years. Today we acknowledge them as traditional custodians and original storytellers of these lands. We offer our respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. Chochenyo Ohlone的人在他们祖先的土地上修炼着他们和土地和万物的精神联系已有数万年。今天我们承认他们是这些土地的传统监护人和原始讲故事的人，并且向他们过去、现在和新兴的长老们表示敬意，以及主权从未被割让的所有第一民族人民们表示敬意 as well. Bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. the wondrous sound that everywhere fills the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传三千劫内，佛法让万亿国中，共熏其法界和平，利益报他有厚德。And that is it for now. That's our opening liturgy. We're working on that. It will develop as we mature into our practice of 讲经说法, explaining sutras, speaking Dharma, helping folks learn that sutras are places where you can look into your nature like a mirror, using the Buddha's language. So, do you all know what those 100 books there are? The green ones there? Can't see them, can't see them. Got the screen in the way. There's 100 books here, and 100 more over here. This is called the Da Zhang Jing, the Tripitaka, the three baskets. This is called the Xu Zhang Jing, the appended Tripitaka, three baskets. And what it represents is the, periodically in Chinese history, the emperor would say, I want a complete collection of all the best Buddhist books in Chinese. He would send his scholars out, and they would go to every big temple, little library. Some of them even went to Korea, and would come back with every temple's prizes. And boy, don't you know, when the temple managers saw the emperor's collectors coming, they would go lock their library as quick as they could, hide the books, because the emperor would go, emperor summons, venerable sir, give me your best sutras. And of course there was a virtuous result, but once they yielded their treasures, they didn't see them again until the book was printed, which might be a generation. The emperor would gather back all the best sutras and then compare them. And this is, a time printing only began in the Tang. So often they were hand copied. And in many cases, there would be a misplaced period, a line left out, a different translation entirely. The scholars would go, look there. And they would come up with their best version. And then they would take it to, oh boy, once you get the good version, that's only a portion of the hard work. The next thing they would do is they would say, all right, go find the best woodblock cutter. What would the woodblock cutter do? He would take that best handwritten version, and then he would take a block of the best, sometimes birch, or the most disease-resistant, bug-resistant, fire-resistant material, and they would carve Chinese characters to match the printed sutra, or the hand-printed sutra, upside down and backwards. Why? You ink it and you flip and you put it on paper, and then you get the right side down, right side up, and correct printed sutra. And don't you know how labor intensive this was? So over the centuries, this happened 5 or 6 times. I don't know exactly how many Tripitaka. That would be a good research project for some DRBU MA student. How many Tripitakas were originally commissioned? How many three-basket collections? In general, in English, they're called the canon, C-A-N-O-N, not 2N cannon, that's a military weapon, but the C-A-N-O-N, and not C-A-N-O-N click, not Canon camera. Same word, different meaning. Although, you all know why the name Canon came about for the camera? That's a story for another time. Guanyin in Japanese. So every time if you have a Canon camera, every time you hit the shutter, you can go Guan Yin, Guan Yin, Guan Yin. So, and that'll be a better photo. So over history, there were famous collections, pretty much once per dynasty, once in the Song, once in the Ming, etc. You would get a really, really good collection of all the best, not only sutras, but also commentaries and also Vinaya text, the organizing text. So, the Japanese emperor did the same thing over the years. And during the 20th century, China was such a battlefield for various conflicts that many of the real treasures of Chinese Buddhism had crossed the ocean to Japan. And so in 1930, the Taisho, Showa Taisho emperor did the same thing. He ordered his scholars to go to all the monasteries and libraries, come back with the best sutras, and then compare them. But at this point, they had printing, so movable blocks. And the scholars were much more skilled at being able to find all the errors, all the places that were different, subtly different. And they printed up something called the Taisho Tripitaka, Taisho. That's it. We have one. And on the bottom of each page, there are footnotes that say, the Ming edition differs by 3 characters. The Song edition has a variant, And it's pretty much considered exhaustive until today, which is 100 years later. So to be able to have a Tripitaka is a real blessing in the world, not only in America. There is a saying that wherever you have a complete Dazhangjing for 100 miles around, there will be no serious disasters. So, if I were the mayor of Berkeley, I would be paying close attention to the Berkeley Monastery and saying, keep those monks happy because that's our security. That's our insurance policy. So, we'll see whether that saying still holds in the time of the internet. Nonetheless, the Tripitaka is here. And so agile, creative minds would say, yeah, but what about all those other sutras that didn't make the cut? The Shuzangjing, the appended Tripitaka. They took all of those sutras they gathered from the monasteries that they thought weren't quite as good a translation, and certain sutras are translated multiple times, like the Diamond Sutra. There are 5 translations of the Jinggangjing. They took the one that was chosen, or the multiple ones that were here, they found the others and put them into the Shuzangjing. There were other texts that were considered of interesting value, historical value, but not the one that they wanted to say, here's the Diamond Sutra. They put them in the Shuzangjing. We have a copy. So here at the Berkeley Monastery, at the Institute for World Religions, we are proud that we have both the kind of the gold standard of what sutras are, and in Chinese that is. And of course, CTTB has 4 or 5 times this many. They have lots of off-print sutras, Tripitakas, and ones that are hard, that are more rare. When you open up a volume of the Taisho Tripitaka, you have small print, beautifully, clearly inked, easy to read, and multiple sutras that nobody's ever heard of. In the Taisho, here, under the category Sutra, how many sutras do you suppose there are that made the cut, that were considered actual sutras? Any wild guesses? How many? 应该多少？所以就叫什么某某某某某经多少？ Anybody got a guess? Luke, you're on the spot. How many would you, just a wild guess? 9,000. That's too many. Too many. That's a wild guess. Okay, that's what I asked for. Wild guess. More. Billy, how many? 200? That's too few. That's too few. Okay, we need the Goldilocks figure. 1,600 sutras that are said to be the words of the Buddha. How about that? And as I say, many of them you've never heard. There are favorites like Avatamsaka Sutra, Shurangama Sutra, Sadharma Pundarika, Lotus Sutra, Vajra Sutra. Right. So, anyway, the reason I'm on this digression is I just want people to, now that you're back, we got you back in the Berkeley Monastery, and the sun just set, no more shadows. Notice, the sun just went down behind the Golden Gate, shadows are gone here. We have to generate our own light now, our own sunlight. So, we had a visit from our elder Dharma brother, Master Zhen Yue Fashi, Jinwo Sunim from Korea, who was a resident in Berkeley for years, studied at UC Berkeley. He reminded us of the Heng Tripitaka, the Heng Tripitaka. That's Haiyin Si in the mountains outside of Seoul. And that's a very, very famous Tripitaka. Why is it so? More agile minds, creative thinkers will think, well, once you get a wooden block and you ink it and it prints it, what happens to the wooden blocks that are upside down and backwards and all? Good question. They're still there unless a war comes to your country and bombs blow them up or bandits burn them down, unless insects come and eat the wood. Happens all the time. Unless the blocks warp and you can no longer ink them. And it's wood, it's an organic, all the things. Korea was home to many, many, many complete sets of wooden carved characters waiting for ink and paper and a press to make more Tripitaka. Almost none survived. Korea, sadly, was the place of multiple violent upheavals between warring armies. One famous Tripitaka survived. The entire Tripitaka, not a sutra, the whole 1,600 sutras plus shastras plus Vinaya in wood blocks. Why did it survive? It's at Haiyin Si Monastery. I've been to see it. Jinwo took us to look at it. It survived because the abbot of the monastery, back in I forgot the date, was it 1800? When he said, I know you all have your theories of how to preserve wood blocks. Some people have build a house full of stone, build a monastery full of steel, keep them safe. He said, no. This is an organic material. He said, put them on racks, raise them off the ground to keep the damp and the bugs. Let the wind blow through. Let the seasons change. You know how cold it gets in Korea. He said, this is organic. He said, let them experience the vagaries of the temperature through summer, fall, winter, spring, summer, and recite Guanyin Bodhisattva's name. He said, so they did that at Haiyin Si. The bombers came, and the bombs came down on top and missed. Came down on top, didn't explode. Came down on top, and just nothing happened. And to this day, because this clever abbot exposed the blocks to the temperature, to the weather, to Guanyin Bodhisattva's name, the Tripitaka at Haiyin Si is still there. Heng Sa. Incredible story. How, sometimes by holding it too tight, you lose it. That's what happened to so many monasteries. They tried to weatherproof it, didn't work. The bugs came from inside the wood, So he put them under, and you go to see them, and it just goes forever. It's like a football field full of these wonderful wood blocks, raised up with a roof overhead, and people reciting the name of Guanyin Bodhisattva. So sometimes you can overthink your protection, and he didn't. He said, let's do it wisely. They survived. So anyway, we've got the sutras. Here is our very own English language, bilingual, trilingual, actually quadrilingual. If you look at the Bopomofo, right? That's language number 4 right there, printing. So we have Hanzi, we have Bopomofo, Guoyin Zimu, we have Hanyu Pinyin, Chinese tonal spelling language, and we have English, a quadrilingual Avatamsaka Sutra. So, how lucky is that? Bugs can't eat a hard drive, except, come to think of it, there are no computer bugs, are there? Oh yes, Dharma Master, there are computer bugs. Oh, oops. Well, there's no, I mean, it's safe in the cloud, isn't it? Dharma Master, actually not, you know. What about if there's a sunspot? What about if the damn thing gets unplugged? Oh no. So yeah, in fact, the electronic version is not necessarily safe either. But the safest medium for sutra protection is your own mind. Memorizing it into a hydrocarbon-based medium, your own mind. That's the safest place. Now, last week we stopped right here and we actually read this part. And I'm going to step back to this paragraph and ask us all to read it and get you into the story that someone last week said, boy, that would make such a good movie. Here we go. Let's shrink it a bit. There we are. Is that big enough? Can you see? 可以看到吗？看得到. Okay. We start with 十. Ready? Here we go. 十多林菩萨大众悉见一切尽法界虚空界一切佛刹一一为尘中各有一切佛刹为尘数诸佛国度种种名种种色种种清净种种住处种种形象如是一切诸国度中皆有大菩萨坐于道场狮子座上成等正觉菩萨大众前后围绕围绕 Let's try to do it again 前后围绕诸施见主而为供养 Excellent. Now, I won't set it up for you. I'll let the words of the sutra do the setup. We have to open our imagination to let these words make the pictures happen inside. Ready? At that time, the great assemblies of bodhisattvas in the Jada Grove saw that within all Buddha kshetras, filling the Dharma realm and the realm of space, in every dust particle were Buddha lands, as many as dust particles in all Buddha kshetras, replete with their various names, various forms, various purities, various dwelling places, various shapes and appearances. Okay, more. In the midst of those Buddha lands were great bodhisattvas, seated in their bodhimandas on lions' thrones, accomplishing impartial, right awakening. Great assemblies of bodhisattvas circled around them, and world rulers made offerings. Okay. Now, again, let me step us through. Just then, in the Jada Grove, the 9th place where the Avatamsaka Sutra is about to be told, there were lots of bodhisattvas, and they all saw something together. They saw that from where they were sitting, their vision went out to the right of them, to the left of them, in front of them, behind them, below them, and above them. They looked in all directions at once. And they saw that every land, maybe they saw bright lights or lands there or there or there. Everywhere, filling the Dharma realm and the realm of space, that in every tiny dust particle, here are some incredible hydrangeas and little daisies. Look at these little daisies. And if you take, you know how if you look really close and let the sun shine in, you can see on the petals of flowers, it kind of becomes little atoms, and each one of them has a spectrum. So the light goes in and the lights reflect, and you can visualize how inside that little speck there might be entire worlds with little specks and light and sunlight and flowers. Same thing. In every dust particle of every atom of every thing, there were what? What was there? Buddha lands, giant lands filled with Buddhas. How many? As many as dust particles in every Buddha land. So you start counting and you think, whoa, in the tiniest were these multiple big, brilliant, light-filled lands. Every one of those lands had its own name, had its own shape, had its own virtues. Every one of those lands had its own smaller countries, names, valleys, rivers, lakes, mountains, plains, various shapes and appearances. So it's not just some, like one flavor, one vanilla. It's each one was unique, functioning on its own, together, impossibly, in the tiniest of places. And every one of those tiny places filled up in all directions. Furthermore, right? That's mind-boggling. And you kind of go, ooh, my head hurts, right? Let it be. Just let the pictures happen. In the midst of all those Buddha lands, furthermore, they saw more details. They saw bodhisattvas. Can we see one here? Two there. Two of them are seated. Here they're standing. Guanyin and Erstor are standing. Samantabhadra and Manjushri are sitting. They saw great bodhisattvas sitting in their bodhimandas on lions' thrones. Probably, in Manjushri's case, it's an actual lion. What were they doing? They were waking up. They were accomplishing the Buddha's awakening. In other words, they got to the end of their cultivation. Success. Furthermore, around those bodhisattvas were other bodhisattvas on the path. Their students, their supporters, their donors were all there, and people were celebrating them, making offerings to them. All right. That's the picture. It's like, wow. If we were to see this with our eyes, we couldn't look away. Okay? So that's the picture. What's going on is preparation for the Buddha to speak Dharma. This is what bodhisattvas see to kind of get them ready for the Buddha's Dharma teaching. The Buddha hadn't spoken yet. This is all preparation, preparatory. And their minds are expanding. For me, the closest thing that I've had to that is, probably a lot of you have done the same, summer night, lay back on the grass, look up and count the stars. And at some point it arrives that you're not going to be successful. Too many stars. You go, oh my goodness. Oh, there's the Orion's belt, 3 stars in a row. Oh, there's his sword, right. Oh, that's Polaris, that's the North Star. The Big Dipper is connected to the North, there's the Big Dipper, And your mind wants to project a pattern onto that infinite random chaos. Only, is it random? Is it chaos? It's infinite, apparently. And then, if you go, by the way, I highly, highly recommend that you all go out to find NASA Picture of the Day. Every day NASA posts an incredible photo. Many of them are taken from either the Hubble or the, what's the new one? The Webb. The new Webb, which extends our vision way past Hubble. And every day they have a brand new photo, and they're just, they're suitable for putting on your computer desktop if you want. They let you do that. Incredible photos. When you go out and you realize that with a bigger, our physical vision has severe limits. When you add lenses and you put the thing already out past Mars and then send the images back, you can see much further. You realize, wow, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. So that's pretty much, in our world, what we can compare with. Maybe some of you are laboratory scientists and you've spent time with microscopes. When you look at a microscope, you can get the same kind of things, like inside the smallest, you get worlds. So that's what's happening here. But from here on, in our sutra, we get more and more details of what these bodhisattvas were seeing, waiting for the Buddha to say, okay, I'm ready to tell you about Sudana. It's a long slog. Look, this is all preparation. There are 100 samadhis that we have to look at, waiting for the Buddha to say, I'm ready. I'm ready. So we're going to do this one now and find out what else the bodhisattvas saw. And to save us time, we're going to read together instead of call and response. Those of you who are new to Chinese, you might try some of these sounds to see how they sound coming out of your mouth. It's really fun to hear these new sounds with your own ears, right? And for those of us reading together, punctuation is our friend, white space is our friend. And for those of you who aren't interested in exploring the Chinese language, just listen to the sounds coming from around you and let those. This is the Buddha's wisdom permeating our cells, our skin pores. Ready? Here we go. 或见与不可说佛刹量，大众会中出妙音声，充满法界，转正法轮。或见在天宫殿、龙宫殿、夜叉宫殿、乾塔婆、阿修罗、迦楼罗、金那罗、摩诃罗伽、人非人等诸宫殿中，或在人间村邑聚落、王都大处，现种种性、种种名、种种身、种种相、种种光明，住种种威仪，入种种三昧，现种种神变，或使自以种种眼因， 或令种种诸菩萨等，在于种种大会中，种种言辞说种种法。Down to, yeah, that's it for now. Okay, thank you for that. Sounds good to have everybody's voice. 异口同音, it's very special. And it just occurred to me, I didn't say about tomorrow night, folks are welcome tomorrow night as well. Ordinarily, the Sunday night lecture, we do it just remotely and from my office up above. But tomorrow we'll be lecturing from the Buddha Hall at 7:30 if people want to come and listen and be here with Guangchen Dahashang as well. Quite okay. All right? Ready? Or they saw great assemblies as vast as ineffable Buddha kshetras, emitting wonderful sounds, filling up the Dharma realm and turning the right Dharma wheel. Or they saw that within heavenly palaces, dragon palaces, yaksha palaces, Gandharva, Ashura, Garuda, Kinara, Mahoraga palaces, and in the palaces of humans and non-humans, among human beings, within villages, towns, hamlets, or capital cities, these bodhisattvas appeared with various family names, various personal names, various bodies, various features, various auras, and various deportments. They would enter various samadhis and show various spiritual transformations, or at times speaking their own words, or instead they would bring other bodhisattvas in their many assemblies to speak of many dharmas in diverse languages and dialects. Where are we? The action was bodhisattvas sitting in the Jeta Grove waiting for the Buddha saw something. They saw in the tiniest Buddhas and bodhisattvas. Furthermore, okay, shift of scene. You know what else they saw? That's the answer. What follows next is the answer. They saw other stuff too. They saw huge gatherings of people, as vast as ineffable means no words for it, Buddha lands, making joyful sounds, filling up the Dharma realm, listening to Dharma, just like tonight, here. Or, suddenly they were looking into the Tianlong Babu. Okay, quiz for you. Now, if you grew up as I did in America, chances are this question will not apply to you. How many of you have read Jin Yong's novels, or your dads or brothers have read Jin Yong novels, or somebody you know owns all the Jin Yong novels? How many? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all right. The camera's not pointing your way. It's only pointing this way. Okay, good. 5 or 6, right. So, who is Jin Yong? Jin Yong is Louis Cha, his name. Jin Yong is also his pen name. He was a erstwhile editor of a Chinese language newspaper in Hong Kong, who, the time was right, on his lunch break, would start to sketch outlines for novels. And he was a historian and completely steeped in traditional Chinese virtue. And these stories that he wrote down just started to fill the napkins, and then he filled the notebooks, and they filled the bookshelves. And because he was the editor of the newspaper, somebody said, you should publish those. Just put a little bit out every day. So he said, I'll do that. He started publishing these novels that were completely devoted to wuxia pian, to the stories of the Jianghu, the mythical underworld in China, which is, of course, filled with chivalry, righteousness, loyalty to gangs, loyalty to the country, loyalty to your vows, loyalty to your gongfu. So they were full of warriors, knight errants, going out and saving the dynasty, or saving their father's honor, avenging a wrong. And bit by bit, people would buy the newspaper just to read today's episode of Wu Xiaopian. And one of Louis Cha, Jin Yong's most famous stories was called Tianlong Babu. You see where the tie-in, right? So who is this? This is Tianlong Babu right here. The actual, the real Tianlong Babu. Jin Yong just borrowed the name. Here is Deva palaces. That's Tian, like our Tian flying right here through the window, and that one making music on that side. And dragon palaces, like that one, the yellow one, and the red one, the green one, and the gold one, and the red ones. Those are the Long. But what about the Ba? Well, Tian and the Long, the Devas and the dragons, are the first 2 of the 8. The other 6, Gandharvas, Asuras, Garudas, Kinnaras, Mahoragas, and often it's Renfei Rendang, humans and non-humans and the rest. Here it is, humans and non-humans. So who are these beings? These are spirit beings. They're not in physical form unless they choose to be. They can make themselves in human form temporarily to come down and cause trouble, and then they can go back into their spiritual body. So if you, I'll give you an example. Remember I mentioned woodblock printing? Here is the very first woodblock printed sutra. This is the Jingangjing from the Tang Dynasty, and this is the frontispiece. Some artist, after he printed the sutra, took his time and made an image of the Buddha speaking Dharma. You've all seen this one before. Look down here. Who's that? Shuputi, Subhuti, requesting Dharma. Look, just like Luke. Only he's got his bowing cloth, right? Oh, and you have more hair than he's got. He doesn't have any hair. Shuputi is an Arhat disciple, the general of the Dharma. And look, there are... Now, Connie is always asking me to say, can I bring my dog? Can Shari come? Well, looks like the Buddha allowed animals, right? Either that or those are lions. Or they're Dharma protectors, right? Billy, is the dog out in the car? Yeah. Okay, well, tonight we'll leave him out of the car. So, all right. So, I show you this because in the Buddha's Dharma assembly, who's that? That's one of the Tianlong Babu. Is that a yaksha or a rakshasa? Probably. It could be a Garuda maybe, but in a different form. Okay, look over here. Who is that? That is a Deva. There is a Tian making an offering right there, flying through. So these are the Arhats. Look, there's Jinwei Shi. Oh my goodness. All right. Here's the Buddha. Here is a god, or either that or a king. Might be a king making an offering. Looky here. He's got horns on his head. He's got fangs coming out of his mouth. Doesn't look very peaceful. He's got his fist raised and down here. He's wearing armor. Look at his leg muscles. He works out, definitely. Check it out. Barefoot as well. So here are bodhisattvas. Tell by they have transformed Buddhas on their crown there. Here's another Deva flying in. So obviously the Buddha's sutra assemblies were lively places. Multiple species, including animals, spirit beings, bodhisattvas, kings, all gathered together. So when the sutra says, dragon palace, yakshas are ghosts, 鬼道, right? 鬼法界. Gandharvas are music spirits. They're the ones who come down when Chakra wants to throw a party, lights incense. They now play music for the Buddha. Asuras, people know what Asuras. They're Ashura Fajia. There's all the stories about Asuras. Garudas, Garuda Airlines, Indonesia. See? That's a retail opportunity right there. Garudas are 大鹏金翅鸟. They're the great golden wing pungbird. Kinaras are called Iren. They look like humans, but they have a horn in their forehead. They also make music. They are not fun to mess with. They might be dryads in Western mythology. None of these beings are friendly and cuddly, and you can make friends with them and follow them on Instagram. You don't. These are serious spiritual beings who, if they weren't following the Buddha and very guai, they would be out there, cutting up and causing mischief. Who are Mahoragas? They are large snakes, 大蟒蛇, like pythons. So, humans and non-humans. They also have their palaces. They also have their places where they are the boss. They are absolutely in charge in all these realms. But the Buddha comes, one by one, the spiritual kings and bullies and bosses, and these are beings who, when they're bad, are the stuff of nightmares. When they're good, they put their palms together, they bow to the Buddha, and they say, please teach me psychic powers. Please teach me how to get away from suffering. Question?
If they're so bad, why do they want to attend the Dharma lecture?
I heard the if they're so bad part. If they're so bad.
Why would they want to attend a Dharma lecture?
Still didn't get it.
Why would they want to listen to the Buddha's teaching?
Why are they interested in the Buddha's teaching? Because everybody's nature has both. You know how bad you can be. Ask your mom, I know how bad I can be, right? And yet, here you are, interested in the Buddha's teaching. That's good. We're all like that. We have the potential to be Buddhas, and we have the potentials to be disasters. You just think of the various ways that each of us has messed up. And yet, I think if I were to tell you the number of ways I disappointed Master Hsuan and did not live up to his trust in me, I would never stop bowing in repentance, truly so, because that's the potential. So these, perfect example, for Connie's question is a great example of saying why we follow the Buddha. It's because we can be set free. The Dharma works inside us to bring out the positive and to transform, you could say to bring the positive right out from the negative. It's not that there's like good Connie and bad Connie side by side. It's that we get inspired by examples to transform ourselves. And it's right from the one that loves to rip up, that the one that loves to look deeply and sit still and discover, the wisdom inside. It's the same place. But one is transformed. If you have a garden plot, particularly in California, that soil will happily grow both star thistle and grapes, olives, oranges, roses. Same piece of ground. So, okay? Satisfied? All right. So these Tianlong Babu, these devas, dragons, yakshas, ghosts, right? Gandharvas, Asuras, Garudas, Kinnaras, Maharagas, they all see the Buddha and see their potential for waking up. One of my real awarenesses of Master Hua was looking one day at ITI in Burlingame. I was looking into his face, looking into Master Hua's face, because he had been scolding me for some infraction. I think it had to do with the mail. I misplaced the mail or something like that. And as he was chewing me out, I looked at his face, and the English phrase for it is, there was nobody home. There was no spark behind that of anger or intent or meanness, not the slightest bit. It was that he was, let me stop sharing here, there we go. He was fulfilling the role of teacher because why? It's what I needed to exactly what we were talking about, subdue my sense of self, my arrogance, my pride, my lack of kindness, my not noticing, and to bring out the goodness, the wisdom, the compassion that is latent within me. And I thought, wow, here is a teacher who in one look in his face shows you every one of your flaws, every single wart and blemish and fart and mistake. Everyone is there, and in the very same look, you see your potential to be the best person you can be. That's a teacher. And if there is a way to say how you get there, my answer would be that he had transformed, he had removed the self from his life. He was not operating out of the limitation of desire or binary dual awareness of me and mine. That was gone. And as a result, he was just mirroring me and showing me both of those potentials to be awful or normal, just sloppy and a mistake, or the best person who was also free of self. And what that would look like. Who do you look like? So when I look in the mirror now, I think, oh, there it is, Good hair day, bad hair day, well, pretty much the same. So without any product from CVS. But I remember that potential that I have to be more than, and it's the same person. That's the interesting part. Okay. The magic of the Buddha nature. Furthermore, those bodhisattvas looked from where they were sitting in full lotus, it mentions that, and they saw the human realm. There were villages, towns, hamlets, capital cities, bodhisattvas who were still in progress, not looking like Guanyin or Manjushri. They were normal folks. They had names. They had Vietnamese surnames like Nguyen and Ly, and they had Chinese surnames like Lin and Chan, and they had personal names, right? They had names like White and Johnson, and Bobby and Susie and Timmy and Ted and Jim. Various bodies. They had all kinds of body shapes. Interesting, it says auras. The bodhisattvas saw their lights around them. And their deportments, meaning how they walked, how they stood, what kind of vehicles they rode, what sports they liked, etc. Doesn't say anything about their phone preferences, though. Were they a PC or were they a Mac? Doesn't mention that. So maybe they were an iPhone person. They would enter various samadhis and show various. So these people, they saw the ones who were on the path, who were cultivating. And I really, really like this one. This is so interesting. Or they saw people at times speaking their own words, or the bodhisattvas would go call on other bodhisattvas in assemblies to speak Dharma in different languages. It specifies, right? It says, 种种言辞说种种法. They would use different kinds of languages and different dialects to speak Dharma. So, if anyone goes to Fagushan, go out if you have a chance. Fagushan is a wonderful, huge monastery outside of Taipei. And you have to go out to the coast to see it. But if you go into the library, Fagushan was where the Tripitaka that I mentioned earlier, the Dazang Jing, was put into computer code. It's a long project that began actually with Professor Lancaster here in Berkeley and Bhikshuni Heng Qing and Bhikshuni and a past director, member of our board of directors of Dharma Buddhist University, Professor Du Amin, and Hui Min Fa Shi is largely important in this progress. They took the Tripitaka, put it into code, and put it on first it was a CD. There were many articles worldwide of Professor Lancaster holding a CD with the entire Tripitaka, all 100 volumes and 100 volumes on a single Guangde CD. So the fun part, what I'm recommending is when you go into the library at Fagushan and their university, they say, welcome, come on in, and they say their name in a number of diverse languages and dialects. First of all, it's in Chinese, Hanzi. Then it's in Japanese, Dozo irashaimase, right? Then it's in Korean. I can't say it in Korean. Then it's in English, and then I believe they have a few European languages, maybe French, maybe German, and then it's in computer code. It's in C++, right there inscribed on the bottom. And it's like, whoa, look at that. What language is that? You know, they say, oh, that's what, currently our system is running. And so computer languages was acknowledged at Fagushan Dharma Drum as one of the diverse languages that people are not speaking but reading, and probably the fact that we can I can touch my computer and you can see what I'm doing up there and around the world has to do with that language, right? So, diverse languages and dialects. One more set of words and we're done with the sutra for tonight. Just this much. Ready? Here we go. Read it together. 如此会中菩萨大众见于如是诸佛如来深深三昧大神通力. Here we go. Ready? This one to here. Thus, everybody in the great assemblies of bodhisattvas beheld the Buddha's thus come one's most profound samadhis and the power of his spiritual abilities. Okay, what do we make of this part of the story? Again, this is the sutra showing us what bodhisattvas saw as they were sitting waiting for the Buddha to start talking. And what I like about this and what I want to point out is how the Dharma is meant to communicate. It's not meant to stay in a cabinet with glass doors. It's there, and pretty much, now I don't want to say this categorically because it's just not true, but most monasteries that own a Taisho Tripitaka keep it under glass. And it's well dusted, and they might even burn incense to it. 95% of them never open that cabinet. It's considered sacred. Don't put your fingerprints on it. You might ruin it. Might tear a page, right? And okay, that's showing respect to the sutra, but it's completely defeating the purpose of the Tripitaka. Now, granted, to open up that glass door and pull it out, it's a heavy volume, small print. You have to get used to reading vertically. It runs top to bottom, right? And then across from top to bottom. But the purpose of the Tripitaka is to carry the Dharma so that people can read it. Duh. But we don't, right? It's a whole set, costs a lot, rare, don't touch it. That's not the point. So my vision, I know how Shifu wanted the Dharma to go. First of all, he wanted us to memorize sutras. And there are still young people at CTDB who can recite. You know, some of you know who they are. Recite the Shurangama Sutra, not the mantra, the sutra, etc. But Shifu paid for multiple printings of sutras in Hong Kong, in China, in America. He himself took money and said, let's reprint the Mahaprajna Paramita Sutra, the biggest one. He did that for Master Empty Cloud's Nirvana. What we're looking for is an English language sutra with a washable cover. Some sort of plastic cover that if you get it dirty because you read it so much, you can wash it off with a damp cloth. And we want them, of course, you don't want to stick it in your hip pocket, but we want a sutra that you can carry with you. And you don't feel afraid of it. You don't feel like, oh, I'm going to be zapped by lightning because I actually dropped it today when I nodded off, I was reading. Or I fell asleep and the oil from my forehead got the page sticky. You know? We don't want to worry about that. We want to have the sutra readable, portable, so you can actually know what's in it. That's the point. So, I don't know. There's that. Then there's another, and that's now the bodhisattvas are out there seeing where the Dharma's going. It's going into families in small towns. It's going into the heavens for the Tianlong Babu, the Eightfold Pantheon. It's going to people everywhere in different languages so they can hear it. I'm hoping, and maybe one of these times when I say this, there's going to be a sensitive ear who's going to hear it and go, I know the perfect person. We are looking for an illustrator who can do Avatamsaka manga. Do we have any comic book illustrators? Laura is smiling. Laura, why are you smiling? That's interesting. No? Okay. Shoot. But maybe you know somebody at work who does, you know. So we want illustrators to do an illustrated Avatamsaka. Boy, if I could do it, I would put my time. 陈瑜会不会？认识不认识？不认识。Okay. Somebody's going to hear this and go, I know the perfect person. Maybe Jerry. We'll see. So throw that seed out there. Check your resources, your Rolodex, and let's come up with Billy, we'll get a Avatamsaka cartoon illustrator. And people say, oh, disrespectful. No, it's not disrespectful. It's doing exactly what the sutra's doing. Look at what it's saying. That page of text is alive with beings coming in and out from the spiritual realm, and you know, the mayor holding a party so people can speak the Dharma and can make donations to his funds. You know, there's just all kinds of life in the sutra, not meant to be held between covers. It's meant to be taken out, walked in, explored, discovered, and then digested. Right? Okay, with that in mind, we got a new song for you to learn. Which one is it? Is it, see if this is it. Yes, this is it. Maybe do it that way. Here we go. Okay. Now, excuse me. there is a hymn, sorry, called Glory, Glory, Hallelujah. By the way, those of you going to Buddha Root Farm will be, you'll get to meet a bunch of new Kuan Yin Bodhisattva songs, which staff here in the monastery thinks have potential. Mississippi John Hurt. Glory, glory, hallelujah, when I lay my burden down. Y'all know that one? Y'all sang it at the last tent meeting? Makes a perfect setting for this song. Namo Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, Namo Guan Shi Yin. You will always come and save us from the troubles that we're in. With 1,000 eyes to see me and 1,000 ears to hear, with 1,000 hands to help me, she says, my friend, have no fear. Join me. Namo Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, Namo Guan Shi Yin. You will always come and save us from the troubles that we're in. With 1,000 eyes to see me and 1,000 ears to hear, with 1,000 hands to help me, Guan Shi Yin draws near. Namo Guan Yin Bodhisattva, Namo Guan Shi Yin. Will always come to save us from the troubles that we're in. Vows to save all beings if they only call your name. With a heart of great compassion, you save everyone the same. Namo Guan Yin Bodhisattva, Namo Guan Shi Yin. You will always come to save us from the troubles that we're in. You sing it one more time. I bet you'll sing it walking out of the monastery tonight. Here we go, last one. Namo Guan Yin Bodhisattva, Namo Guan Shi Yin. You will always come to save us from the troubles that we're in. You will always come to save us from the troubles that we're in. How does that work? Right? It's Mississippi John Hurt's Glory, Glory, Hallelujah is one of his most foot tapping. You know, your foot bump, bump, bump automatically like that. We also have lots of old favorites that are two of which have already been recorded. And for example, this one, Homage to the Bodhisattva Guan Shi Yin, this was a 3 steps, 1 bow song. We needed it back then. Times were hard, and Marty and I would sing, Namo Guan Shi Yin Pu Sa, Namo Guan Shi Yin, Namo Guan Shi Yin Pu Sa, Namo Guan Shi Yin. Homage to the Bodhisattva Guan Shi Yin, who's made a vow to save us from the troubles that we're in. Although she travels far and wide to save all as she roams, 10,000 Buddha's city is the Bodhisattva's home. Right? You've heard this one before. So there's a bunch. We've got a project in the works we'll try them out at Buddha Root Farm and then see if we can't get them recorded so the folks can have them on your car stereo or listen to them on the way to school or what have you. So there you are. And let's see here. Tomorrow night, Master Guangquan, his title is Da Heshan, which is the chief abbot of a monastery. And Lingyan Si is his home in Hangzhou, quite a incredibly historic monastery. Let's see here. Yes, and that'll be at 7:30 tomorrow night. Folks are welcome to come. I want to remind everybody about Songs for Awakening, dharmaradio.org, and the way it works with Good Karma Music. Everybody know this? Maybe you don't. If you go to Good Karma Music, and then you do a good deed, whatever you might consider a good deed to be, then you tell us what that was. Share your good deed. Type it in here. Tell us where you're from. Give yourself a name. It can be a screen name. Then we want you to tell us what is 1 plus 1. AI can't do that in that slot, so we know you're not a robot. Submit your post, and we get it, and everybody else can read it, and then you choose from among these amazing choices of Buddhist and Catholic music. Spirit in the Cave of the Heart is Father Cyprian Concilio. So you have music, stories, all kinds of goodies. Brian Conroy's story collection, The Light That Never Dies, is here. Then, the funnest part of all is you get to read the stories. Lethbridge, Canada. Today I learned to chant and to play the music of Medicine Buddha Mantra. From Master Heng Sher's Avatamsaka Sutra lectures. Then I heard Reverend Heng Sher's rendition of She Carries Me, a song by Jennifer Barazan, and was very moved by the connection with Bodhisattva Guan Yin. Then I shared the song with a friend and his partner who I believe might benefit a lot from it. May all beings be well. So I do hope that the Upasaka chose music that made them happy. We give you the whole CD, the whole album, with lyrics and stories. I listened to a friend who trusts me to confide in. From Petoskey. Not everybody who knows where Petoskey is. Who knows where Petoskey is? Any other Midwesterners? It's from the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, from the UP, a very quiet part of Michigan, where there are wolverines and bears and moose and a few Michiganders. Okay, so go out to Dharma Radio. Oh, one more thing. Haha, I bet you didn't know this. dharmaradio.org arrives in Chinese, 中文. So, if you look at Good Karma Music, 善业音乐是什么？然后呢，有很多故事用中文写。我念楞严咒心加持 Fa Zong Fen Zhi Dao Chang. Good deed. Okay, I recite the Shurangama mantra's heart as a blessing for the branches of DRBA. That one was from Shanghai. Here is one from Jiangsu. 我在自己的微信朋友圈和 QQ 空间 B 站分享玄公上人和蒙山老法师的短片开示图片. Good. This person shares Shifu's stories and also Master Meng Can's stories with their friends from QQ and QQ Kongjian number B, John. So, and the pictures. So you can go out and read all the stories that were submitted in Chinese. How cool is that? Now, at this point in the lecture, I would say, Jin Chuan, Jin Wei, are you here? And their voices would magic, yeah, we're not sure. Well, yeah, there you are. He's here. Yeah. So, and their voices would magically come out over the airwaves to tell us what's going on at the Berkeley Monastery. So, Jin Chuan, Jin Wei, you want to tell us what's going on at the Berkeley Monastery? You can do it live.
Actually, we have a break from our online practices, morning and evening ceremony, well, for a month, right? End of July, because we have a few upcoming events, including upcoming ordination at the City of 1,000 Buddhas, and we have Buddha Road Farm, Reverend Heng should mention, from July 22nd to July 29th, and one event is not posted yet. Oh, we have music and mindfulness going on, right? What is the full name for that?
The music camp at Ukiah.
If you keep going down,
大声一点好吗?
if you keep going down, you see Buddharoo Farm and the Avatamsaka lectures, Saturday, and pretty much we're on summer break for now, and things will come back online probably on early September. However, the Abhayagiri monks have been steadily coming down on first Tuesdays of the month. So people are welcome to join that. And also James Baraz's group, whose co-teacher is Eve Decker, who's also a Buddhist musician. She's been coming in as well on the Thursdays here at Berkeley Buddhist Monastery. I know next Thursday they're also coming. I think you have to check on their website. If you type in East Bay Insight Meditation, I think you'll find a website that points to them, and then you'll see what's happening. I see right there, Reverend has his Sutra are on break for July, but it'll start up again later, 1 to 2 p.m. And it'll be on Master Empty Cloud's pictures, stories that Master Hua wrote about Master Empty Cloud.
One more is not posted yet.
Jin Wei, sure, a little louder, please.
Okay, one more is not posted yet. We have once a year an event, Interfaith Blood Drive. It's August 10th in the local synagogue, Nativot Shalom congregation, among with our friends from Vedanta Society, The Way Christian, and Pacifica Institute, the Muslims, and us. So more information will be posted. You can choose the slot if you want to donate blood, or you can volunteer if you wish. You can contact us. So it's August 10th.
Mm-hmm. All right. I guess the way to do this is, when I was in Australia, I would ask the monks at BBM to talk about BBM. Now we're here. Next time, I'll ask Sam to announce the events at Gold Coast Dharma Realm. They've got lots of things going on there. So, alrighty, we have one more thing to do, which is dedicate the merit. And you know what to do.
Question about next Saturday lecture.
No answer yet.
No answer yet.
So we're assuming that there will be a lecture.
Yeah.
Yeah. These next couple weeks in the life of the Berkeley Monastery are very active. We've got ordination, we have Buddha Root Farm, etc. So somehow we have to deliver a sutra lecture, so we'll figure that out. So, Jerry, we'll have to be very creative how we do that. Everyone's looking at Jerry. How is he going to do it? Okay. It might be me sitting, at the Dairy Queen in Reedsport holding a cell phone. I don't know. So. Okay, you all made your wish to send out the merit. Here we go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds away to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward, may all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Before we bow, thinking about that, what is next Saturday night, Chinchuan?
July 15th.
Where will I be?
You will be at CPD, technically on the evening free.
I can't hear, sorry.
Would be July 15th, and we're finishing the ordination that day, so technically you could lecture that night.
Yeah, and the folks who want to know that, whether or not that's going to happen, are the folks sitting here right here tonight. So in any case, next Saturday I won't be here, and probably we won't have a live lecture next week, right?
Probably not, yeah.
Probably not. Okay, so I want to tell all of you that because of the ordination, which requires me to be at Ukiah, next week we will be online. So this lecture will be online. There won't be any lecture next week, and it's sad. Now we've got some momentum, going, and oops, the monks are traveling. But that's the summer. This is how the summer goes. And the following Saturday will be in Reedsport. Yeah. So 2 weeks, and then the following Saturday.
Reedsport.
Usually we make it down for that third one, right?
I think it finishes Saturday evening. So
is that different from?
Yeah, so people are coming back Sunday.
And how many? Could I see the hands of folks who are going to Buddha Root Farm? There is not a great number, but a sizable number. So it wouldn't be fair. Yeah, it's difficult. So the thing to do is to say, we'll be 3 weeks without a live lecture, but do let this momentum carry us forward into Avatamsaka online, which has been successful from Australia, So I need to tell the translators in Australia as well, Sam and Cliff and Kevin, that we will be online next week. Okay. Should we bow to the Buddhas from where you're sitting? We can do half bows. Hold on. So, oops, one moment, please. Here we are. Okay, 3 half bows. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Okay, that's going to do it for us for tonight. Drive home safely, mindfully. We'll see you in a few weeks. Amitofo.